Hi, I'm Tanchu, and today we will be turning this rough sketch of a peach-themed magical girl into a fully fledged figure. My observant viewers might have just noticed this video is already different from usual. That's because this video was made for a contest for a big YouTuber. I got shortlisted, but sadly wasn't one of the winners. I didn't know what to do with the video after the contest at first, but I decided that instead of leaving it to rot on a hard drive somewhere, I would re-edit it and post it. As such, it might seem a little jump cutty in places. Anywho, take it away, past Tanchu. Hi, I'm Tanchu. On New Year's Day of 2019, I tried my very first 3D printable sculpt. It was a D&D miniature. I know, right? I'm like way too cool to handle. Before that, I had been drawing and painting for 19 years. I'm very stubborn, so even though I didn't feel competent at 2D, I still stuck at it and trained in it for all that time. No matter how hard I worked and studied, it never seemed to really work out. My brother, who is a prolific ZBrush sculptor and CAD artist, bullied me into having a go with 3D. It turned out all the things I had been studying, such as anatomy, had gone in. I just wasn't good at interpreting it into 2D. Since then, I've been teaching myself ZBrush, 3D printing, and figure painting. This peach-themed magical girl will be the 4th figurine I've ever finished. Speaking of, I started the sculpt not long after the contest was announced. I could have gone with a simple character, but instead, I overcomplicated things like usual. I loved this design so much I couldn't help myself. I was inspired by Cardcaptor Sakura and the Japanese peach aesthetic. Their peaches seem a lot pinker, at least in the artistic interpretation. I left my original design fairly loose since normally I don't do a sketch beforehand. I tend to make things up when I design in 3D. In some ways, it makes it hardest since I loved her expression so much I wanted to match it. It took me a while to get a face I was happy with. Digital sculpting can be a long process. It took me 3 days of solid work to get this done. Next comes splitting, which is all about slicing the sculpt up to print and the polygons and whatnot. So let's jump to when it's printed. Normally, I would wait until everything was printed before starting the smoothing of the plastic parts, but with the contest deadline looming over me, I felt it wise to go ahead and smooth the parts as they were coming off the printer. I mean, the dress itself took about 9 hours on the lowest resolution. Yeah, printing ain't fast. While removing the supports of the staff handle, I snapped it in half. Instead of trying to fix it and possibly getting the hands in the wrong position, I just decided to print another. Cleaning up prints is super important. I personally use a filling agent, a non-solvent wood filler, to make the surface smooth. It's easier to sand the filler than the plastic. With it all smooth and prime, I can start airbrushing. I don't have access to airbrush paints currently, so I have been thinning down normal acrylics with deionized water, and I always get the consistency wrong. It takes me ages to realize I need to thin the paints more. Of course, I mask out areas when I come to paint the next color, which leads to one of my favorite parts, unmasking. It's like opening a present. Of course, I need to clean up some edges as well. I start experimenting. This is the first time I've shaded a figure. The last three I did were flat colored due to the style they were in. I kind of brute forced my art, often experimenting on the final piece rather than on scraps. I do not advise this. I had tried to shade with the airbrush. However, when I used to digitally paint, I used to work from dark to light when shading. I had assumed I'd be able to do the same with the airbrush, but I found it didn't work this time. Then I heard that using pastels and watercolor pencils is an easy way to shave smoothly. I decided to try this, but it did mean that my colors were already starting off darker than I intended. Could I have repainted it? Yes. But I was working to a 3-week deadline and I was definitely feeling the pressure to finish. I only had about a week left by this point. Also, when I'm nervously shading, I tend to overshade. I used the watercolor pencils as a controlled wash, and I added pastels to blend. Then I added highlights. Then I added more pastels to blend again. This was mostly on the hair and leaves. As the dress, I just used pastels. Still, with all the pieces done, I can now glue them together and then we'll have disaster struck. Now it's time for a segment I like to call How to Fail Like Tanchu at the Very Last Moment. Step 1. Use the only hot glue gun you have to hand that is permanently fused to a cardboard box and difficult to use. Step 2. Accidentally get the glue on the figure's leg. Step 3. Try to remove the glue. Step 4. Accidentally remove the paint instead. Step 5. Try to paint back over but end up with a mess instead. Step 6. Try to dry the paint faster with a heat gun. Step 7. Accidentally heat up the plastic too much and hold on too tight and put a massive dent in the leg. Step 8. Try to remove the leg from the model to fix the dent somehow. Step 9. Break the other leg instead. Step 10. Try not to cry. Step 11. Cry anyway. So here she is. I did take a few terrible photos with my phone before I decided to fix her, but the damage done is irreversible. Could I try to glue her back together and just accept her quality drop? Yeah, but honestly, I'd rather leave her broken and print a whole new version. I don't have time to do that for this video, or even just reprint her lower half. As heartbreaking as it is, I think this design deserves better. It was my first time making a figure of my own design and painting it, and I want to give it another go. So, what do you think? Please comment below. Do you think I should fix her? Do you think I should reprint her and try again? After all, that's the great advantage of 3D printing. I can always print another. Or do you think I should just move on to the next project, learning from my mistakes? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to find out what happens next with her, or if you just want to see more of my content. But I'm going to go sleep now because I'm tired. Bye!